The girl left in the dust. The twin suns hung low over the dry, cracked land. Dust floated in the air. The small alien village, made of rusted metal and old wires, sat silent. No one looked at the corner where a little broken girl lay. She had purple skin, thin arms, and silver hair tangled with dirt. Her name was Leary, and her legs didn't move. She had been there for 2 days. She was cold at night, hot in the day. Her small hands reached out for help each time someone passed by. But they only looked away. Some called her cursed. Others whispered she was born wrong, not worth saving. A trader kicked sand near her. Still alive, he said. Useless little thing. And he walked on. Leary's throat was dry, her lips cracked. Her voice had grown weak from crying. Water, please. But no one stopped. She had once lived in a metal cage. She remembered the dark room, the strong hands, and the pain in her legs. They had tied her down and done something inside her, muscles. When she tried to crawl away, pain shot up like fire. She was not born broken. They made her this way. Then one day, during a storm, the cage opened. She didn't know how. She crawled out. She thought she would find kindness outside, but kindness never came, until now. A strange sound came from the edge of the village, a low hum, the sound of a ship. A human man stepped out. He wore a long brown coat, boots covered in dust, and carried a small cargo scanner in one hand. His name was Evan Holt, a transport pilot passing through for fuel and parts. He had come to trade. He didn't plan to stay. But as he walked past the broken fences and quiet homes, he saw something. A small body. Thin. Still. He paused. Others ignored her. He did not. He slowly walked to her. She turned her head, eyes wide with fear. Her voice was barely a whisper. Don't hurt me. Evan knelt beside her. I'm not here to hurt you, he said softly. Are you all right? Leary didn't answer. She only blinked, too tired to speak. He could see her legs twisted strangely. Old scars ran across her thighs, and her knees were red from dragging herself. Can you move? He asked. She shook her head once. He took off his backpack and pulled out a water pack. He held it to her lips. She flinched. It's just water, he said, patient. I won't force you. Her lips trembled, but the thirst was too strong. She drank, and then cried. Not loud, not wild, just soft, quiet tears. Evan watched her. Something inside him shifted. This place, he muttered, looking around. Why would no one help her? He stood, turned toward a nearby shop and yelled, This girl's dying! Why isn't anyone helping her? A window slid open, a wrinkled alien face peeked out. She's not our problem, the voice said. She's cursed, born broken. She wasn't born broken, Evan shouted. Someone did this to her. The window closed. Evan looked back at Leary. She was watching him, not with fear this time, but with confusion. No one had ever raised their voice for her before. He sighed and gently picked her up. Her body was so light. Too light. She winced but didn't resist. Her small fingers grabbed the collar of his coat like she was afraid he'd vanish. I'm not going anywhere, he said. He carried her to his ship. People stared. No one stopped him. Inside the ship, he laid her on a clean cot and wrapped her in a blanket. My name's Evan, he told her. You don't have to talk yet, just rest. She looked at him. Her lips moved. One word came out. Why? Evan sat beside her. Because someone should have helped you a long time ago, and no one did. She closed her eyes. For the first time in days, her breathing slowed. She slept. Evan looked at the scan panel. The little girl's legs were damaged, intentionally. Medical tools had been used to cut into her nerves and bind her muscles. Whoever did this wanted to make sure she never walked again. But why? He looked back at her small face, so innocent, so tired. He didn't know what he had just stepped into, but one thing was clear. He wasn't leaving her behind. Not now, not ever. Leary opened her eyes slowly. The ceiling above her was smooth metal, glowing soft white. She was no longer lying on the cold ground or in the dust. She didn't smell rot or dirt anymore. The air was clean. The blanket on her body was warm and the pillow under her head was soft. She blinked again. Where was she? Her body stiffened. Panic hit her like a wave. Her eyes darted across the small room. Machines hummed quietly. Pipes ran along the walls. She heard the soft buzz of engines underneath. She wasn't in the village anymore. She was in a ship. The memories rushed back. The man, the water, his voice. He had carried her. But why? No one ever helped her without asking for something in return. Her fingers clutched the blanket tightly. She tried to move her legs. Still dead. Still no feeling. She looked down at her legs. Someone had cleaned them. The old wounds were covered in clean bandages. Even the cuts on her arms were treated. Why? The door slid open with a hiss. She flinched and shrank back. Evan walked in, holding a bowl of warm soup. He smiled, but she only stared. She didn't trust that smile. Good. You're awake, he said kindly. You must be hungry. She didn't answer. Her eyes stayed locked on him. Watching. Waiting. He placed the bowl gently on the tray near her bed and stepped back. I won't touch you. Not unless you want me to. Still, she didn't speak. He sat in the corner chair and rested his hands on his knees. My name's Evan Holt. I'm a pilot. I deliver supplies. I found you in that village. She looked away. I don't know what happened to you, he continued, but it wasn't right. You deserve better. She didn't believe him. She had heard words like that before. Empty words, followed by pain. When she didn't respond, he stood up. I'll be nearby. If you want to eat, eat. If not, that's fine too. He walked out. The door hissed shut again. Leary stared at the bowl. Her stomach twisted with hunger, but she didn't move. What if it was poisoned? What if it was a trick? She had seen kindness used like bait before. People pretended to care. Then they punished you when you trusted them. She remembered the last man who fed her. He smiled. Then he broke her leg when she spoke too loud. She bit her lip and turned her head away from the food. Her body trembled, not from cold, but from fear. Later, Evan returned. He didn't touch the bowl. He just placed a small stuffed doll beside her bed. A simple thing, made of cloth and string but with big smiling eyes. I made this a long time ago, he said. Don't know why I kept it. Maybe it was meant for you. Still, she didn't respond. But when he left again, she reached for the doll. She held it tight. That night, she didn't sleep. She kept one eye open, watching the door, listening for footsteps, waiting for shouting or pain. But nothing came. The next morning, she opened her eyes to find a small screen near her bed. On it, a simple note. Good morning. No one will hurt you here. Tears gathered in her eyes. She didn't let them fall. When Evan entered later with more food, she didn't speak. But this time, when he left, she slowly reached for the bowl. It wasn't poisoned. She ate quietly. The next day, he brought a floating screen that played calming music. He placed a soft star-shaped light on her wall that changed colors. He didn't ask for anything. Not even words. But Leary still didn't trust him. On the third day, she whispered, Why? Evan looked up from the ship controls. He walked in, surprised to hear her voice. Why what? He asked gently. She looked down. Why help me? He sat on the edge of her bed but left space between them. Because someone should have done it a long time ago, he said. And I don't care if you're alien or human. You're just a little girl, alone, hurt. Leary's lips shook. They said I was broken, that I was useless. Then they lied, Evan said, his voice firm. She stared at him. For the first time, something in her eyes changed. Not full trust, but a tiny crack in the wall she had built. He smiled softly. You don't have to trust me yet, I'll wait. Just know I won't leave you behind. He stood to leave, but she whispered again, Thank you. He turned around and gave a gentle nod. Outside the ship, stars shimmered in the dark sky. But inside the ship, something brighter was beginning. Not a rescue, but the start of a second chance. Evan watched Leary from the cockpit as his ship moved slowly through deep space. She was sleeping now, the stuffed doll held tight in her arms. He had adjusted the ship's gravity just enough so her weak body wouldn't strain. Her face was peaceful, but even in sleep, her hands sometimes shook. She flinched at sounds. She still didn't fully believe she was safe, and Evan couldn't blame her. He sighed and turned back to the scanner. He had asked his onboard medical AI, Dosi, to analyze Leary's scans in full. The earlier check had shown damaged nerves and stiff muscle tissue in her lower limbs. But something still didn't sit right. The screen blinked. Scan complete. He read the report. His chest tightened. Multiple deliberate incisions. Healing patterns suggest surgical restriction. Foreign implants, metal thread fibers. Function of legs intentionally disabled. He stood up quickly and marched toward the med bay. There, Dosi's hollow form, a soft, glowing blue light shaped like a person, waited beside Leary's sleeping bed. Are you saying someone made her like this? Evan asked. Yes, Dosi replied calmly. Her legs did not stop working by accident. Someone used medical tools to cut her nerves and muscles in very specific places. Her condition was designed. Evan clenched his fists. Why would anyone do that to a child? There's more, Dosi said. Look at this. A second screen lit up. Inside Leary's spine, near the lower back, a tiny black dot blinked. A tracker, Evan whispered. Old tech. Hidden under scar tissue, likely meant to trace movement and location without her knowing. Evan stepped back, staring at the image. It made his stomach turn. This wasn't just a case of a forgotten child or a poor orphan. Someone had wanted to keep her disabled, keep her helpless, keep her from running away. She escaped, Evan said slowly. They locked her up, broke her body, and left her like that, but she still escaped. Yes, Dosi confirmed. But whoever did this may still be looking for her. Evan nodded once. Remove the tracker. Now. Dosi hesitated. She's small, fragile. I can do it safely, but she will need rest afterward. Do it, Evan said. She deserves to be free. No more chains, not even invisible ones. That evening, Evan waited outside the med bay as Dosi carefully performed the surgery. It took 2 hours. He didn't move, he didn't eat. He just stared out at the stars, wondering who had hurt her, and if they were already hunting her again. Finally, the door opened. Dosi floated out, holding a small black chip inside a sealed glass tube. Tracker removed, Dosi said. She will sleep through the night. When she wakes, she may be sore, but the signal is gone. Evan took the tracker and crushed the tube under his boot. He looked in at Leary. She lay still, pale, but peaceful. No wires, no noise, no pain. For now. He whispered to himself, Who are you, little one? The next day, Leary woke up slowly. Her back felt strange but lighter. Her eyes found Evan sitting beside her again, holding a soft blue drink. You had a tracker, he said gently. It's gone now. Her eyes widened. They put it in your spine, he continued. Someone really wanted to keep you locked down. Leary looked away, but Evan leaned closer. I know you don't want to talk, but I need to understand, so I can protect you. She stayed silent. Then, after a long pause, she whispered, They called me a failed one. Evan frowned. Who? My clan, she said quietly. They said I was born during the wrong moon. My eyes glowed different, my skin too soft. They said I was cursed. He listened closely. When I was 3, she said, they tested my strength. I couldn't lift what the others could. I cried when I fell. They said I was weak. And that's when they started. Hurting you? She nodded. They said, if I couldn't be fixed, I'd be locked. Locked? Evan asked. In the cage. Forever, she said. But one day, the storm came. Something exploded. The door broke. I crawled out. She looked down at her hands. I thought someone would help, but the village, they spat at me, threw rocks. I hid for 2 years, crawled between trash piles. No one ever looked at me. Not until... She looked up at him. Evan felt something heavy in his chest. This wasn't just a broken child. This was someone the world tried to erase. But she survived. He placed a hand on the table beside her. They called you cursed, but I see a survivor. I see someone strong. Leary's lips trembled. No one ever said that before, she whispered. Evan smiled. They were all blind then. Outside the ship, stars continued to shine. But inside, Leary took a breath deeper than before. For the first time, she didn't feel like a mistake. She felt seen. The stars outside Evan's ship were peaceful, but inside things were getting dangerous. Evan had just finished setting a new course, deep into an unregistered trade route, when the ship's warning light blinked red. A galactic patrol cruiser had appeared near the outer sensor range. It wasn't a warship, but it was big enough to make most traders nervous. He cursed under his breath. Leary sat quietly on the small bed in the medbay, holding her doll. Her face looked calm, but Evan could see the fear still hiding in her eyes. She had heard the alarm too. He entered the room quickly. Hey, he said softly, kneeling beside her. We've got company. Galactic Patrol. They'll want to scan the ship. Her eyes widened. They can't find you, Evan said. You're not registered. If they find out you're here, they'll ask questions. They might take you away. Leary's grip on the doll tightened. Please, don't let them take me back. I won't, he promised. But I need your help. He opened a hidden floor panel in the cargo bay, a narrow chamber used for smuggling goods. It was clean and safe, but tight. Only someone small could fit comfortably. I don't want to put you in there, Evan said, but it's the only way, just for a few minutes. Leary didn't speak. She just nodded. Her trust was growing, even if her heart still raced with fear. He helped her inside gently, making sure she was warm and had a small light. Tap twice if you need anything, he said. I'll be right above. She nodded again, holding her doll close. He closed the panel and covered it with a crate. The ship's speaker crackled. Unregistered vessel ST-112, prepare for inspection. Evan took a breath and replied, Acknowledged, patrol. Slowing. For docking. 2 officers boarded a minute later, one tall and stiff with a square jaw, the other short and suspicious looking. They wore sleek black uniforms with silver chest plates and scanning visors over their eyes. Routine check, the tall one said. Sure, Evan replied casually. You want coffee? I've got the cheap stuff, but it's warm. They ignored the joke. The short officer began scanning the walls. The other walked toward the med bay. Evan stepped in front of him. Just a sleeping bed, he said. Last guy puked in there, though. Still smells. The officer wrinkled his nose and backed off. The short one suddenly paused. His scanner beeped faintly. Lifeform spike in the cargo hold. Evan's heart thudded. Mouse, he said quickly. Big one. Got in at the last station. The officer frowned. You scan everything manually? Every job, Evan said, smiling. Ask command. I'm boring. Still, the officer stepped toward the crates, closer to where Leary was hiding. Evan followed, trying not to show his panic. Just then, the other officer received a message on his visor. Order to move on, he said. Too much backlog, let's go. The short one hesitated but finally turned away. You're lucky, he muttered. Evan exhaled quietly. They left the ship. Doors sealed. Engines hummed again. Only then did he run back and open the floor panel. Leary blinked up at him, her tiny fingers white from gripping the doll too tight. "You did perfect," he said. "They're gone." He gently lifted her out and placed her back on the bed. She said nothing, but her hands were shaking. He knelt beside her. "I'm sorry. I know it was scary." She finally looked up at him. "They wear black suits." "Yeah," he said. "You've seen them before?" She nodded. "They helped. The ones who hurt me." Evan's stomach turned. She continued, voice low. "They called me property. Said I wasn't real life." He felt his fists clench again. The laws in some parts of the galaxy still allowed alien children, especially those seen as defective, to be labeled non-sentient. It was disgusting, but common. "Well," Evan said, voice steady. "They're wrong." She stared at him. "You're more alive than any of them," he said. "You feel, you think, you hope. That makes you real." A tear rolled down her cheek, but this time she didn't wipe it away. That night, Evan made a choice. He recoded the ship's ID signature, changed its registration, set a new name for its transponder, Second Chance. He wasn't just hiding a child, he was hiding hope. The stars outside were calm, but trouble had already found them. Evan stood at the control panel of his ship, his jaw tight. He had just picked up a new signal, an open broadcast bouncing through the nearby systems. It was loud, clear, and dangerous. "Bounty alert." The screen showed an image. A child. Thin, silver-haired, with glowing purple skin. Wanted. Subject 471A. Escaped experiment. Live capture only. 40,000 credits. Evan's heart stopped. Leary. They knew she was gone. And now they had placed a price on her head. He turned off the alert quickly before Leary saw it, but she was already rolling her way into the cockpit in a chair Evan had built for her. She had heard the alert tone and followed the noise. "What was that?" she asked. Evan smiled weakly. "Just junk chatter. Pirates talking big again." But Leary wasn't a fool. She looked at the screen. It was off, but her face had gone pale. Her hands clutched the armrest tightly. "It was me, wasn't it?" Evan sat down beside her. "Leary, you don't have to lie," she said quietly. "They always find me." He wanted to say she was wrong, that he could protect her, but the bounty proved otherwise. Someone powerful, maybe a lab, a syndicate, maybe even a government, wanted her back, and they were willing to pay more than most earned in a year to get her. He spoke gently. "Yes, it was about you, but I'm not letting anyone take you." Leary looked up. "Even if they pay you?" Evan's eyes narrowed. "You think I'd sell you?" She shrugged, but her voice cracked. "They all did before." He leaned forward and placed a hand on her shoulder. "I didn't save you to trade. You in? I don't care if they offer me 1,000 ships, you're not for sale." Her lips trembled. She didn't know how to believe him, but deep inside a part of her wanted to. Later that night, while she rested, Evan called someone he trusted. Kyle, an ex-soldier turned mechanic, living on a hidden moon outside patrol zones. The screen flickered to life, and Kyle's rough face appeared. "Evan? That really you?" "I need help," Evan said. "It's serious." Kyle leaned in. "Who did you steal from this time?" "It's not cargo," Evan said. "It's a child, an alien girl. They hurt her, broke her legs. Now they want her back. 40,000 credits. Kyle whistled low. "That's enough to get half the galaxy chasing you." "I know. That's why I need safe repairs, ID scrubs, and maybe a new drive. And I need it now." Kyle was silent for a moment. Then he nodded. "Bring her. But don't use public lanes. I'll send a ghost path." As soon as the call ended, Evan began plotting the course. But just as he was finishing, a proximity alarm screamed. Another ship. He pulled up the sensors. A bounty ship, small, fast, armed. They were already here. He powered up the engines. "Leary, strap in!" She rolled into the cockpit, fear written all over her face. "What's happening?" Someone picked up the bounty. "They're coming fast." He hit the thrusters. The ship roared forward, but the bounty hunter followed. Close and aggressive. The radio buzzed with static. A voice cut through. "Pilot of vessel second chance, cut engines and hand over the asset. You'll be paid." Evan didn't respond. He dove through an asteroid belt weaving between rocks. Leary clung to the seat. "They'll catch us," she said. "They always do." Evan's hands flew across the controls. Not this time. Behind them, lasers fired, flashes of red lit up the darkness. One shot grazed the hull. Sparks flew. Evan rerouted power, flipped the ship upside down and dove under a massive asteroid. The bounty ship followed, but not well. Its wing clipped a rock. It spun, off balance. Evan used the moment. He pulled back, then twisted sharply into a debris cloud and vanished from radar. Silence. Leary gasped, breathless. "Did we lose them?" "For now," Evan said. "But more will come." She looked down at her feet. "I'm not safe anywhere, am I?" He turned to her. "You're safe with me. I'll protect you. I'll fight every one of them if I have to." She stared at him, eyes wide. "Why?" "Because no child should have to run their whole life. You deserve to live, to walk, to be free." Tears rolled down her cheeks. No one had ever said that to her. Outside, the stars burned brighter, and in the heart of the galaxy, a human and a little broken alien girl were no longer running from the past. They were heading toward a new future. The small moon where Kale lived looked like a forgotten rock, gray, dusty, lifeless. But that was exactly why Evan brought Leary there. No one searched a ghost moon. Evan's ship, Second Chance, landed slowly beside an old hangar built into the side of a cliff. It had once been a mining base, long abandoned, until Kale made it, his secret home. The hangar doors opened with a groan and Kale waved from inside, his strong arms covered in grease and burns. "So," Kale said as Evan stepped out, "this is the little ghost with a bounty bigger than my ship." Evan helped Leary out in her chair. She looked small beneath the thick coat wrapped around her. Her eyes locked on Kale with caution, but she didn't speak. Kale whistled softly when he saw her legs. "They really did a number on her, huh?" Evan nodded. "Can you help?" Kale scratched his beard. "If you brought tools and patience, maybe. But don't expect miracles." "I'm not asking for miracles," Evan said. "Just hope." Kale led them inside to a small medical room filled with dusty machines and blinking screens. He ran tests, scanned Leary's legs, and sat back with a grunt. "The nerves are a mess. Whoever cut her wanted her crippled permanently. But," he paused, "there's a chance we can fix it. Not perfect, but enough for braces and motion. Support." Leary looked at him with wide eyes. I can walk?" Kyle raised an eyebrow. "Maybe, but it'll hurt. A lot." She glanced at Evan. He smiled. "You're stronger than they think." For the first time, she gave a small, uncertain smile. And so the healing began. Kale crafted a pair of light exo-braces using parts from old bots. They wrapped around Leary's legs like armor with soft joints at the knees and ankles. Small motors helped support each step. They didn't replace her muscles, but they gave her a chance. On the first day, Evan stood behind her as she gripped the support rails in the training room. Her hands were sweaty, her knees shook, her whole body trembled. "I can't," she whispered. "Yes," Evan said. "You can." Her teeth clenched. She tried to lift her foot. The brace buzzed softly. Her foot moved, barely an inch. She collapsed. But Evan caught her. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with frustration. "I'm broken." "No," he said. "You're learning." Day after day she tried again. Some days she screamed in pain. Some days she cried and threw the braces, but Evan never left. He cleaned her cuts, he wiped her tears, and when she fell, he helped her back up. Kale watched from the side, pretending not to care. but he always tightened the screws in her braces each night and adjusted the fit with care. One evening, Leary stood by herself for 3 full seconds. Cale clapped. "Well, I'll be damned." Leary smiled, sweat running down her forehead. "I stood." Evan grinned. "You didn't just stand, you conquered the moon." By the end of the week, she could take 1 full step, then 2, then 5. Her movements were slow, shaky, but real. For the first time in her life, she was looking at the world from above the floor. The next morning, Cale gave her a gift. A small necklace made from scrap metal shaped like a foot. "Every step you take," he said, "you're stepping on their lies." She wore it proudly. One night, as the stars shined cold above the moon, Evan and Leary sat outside the hangar on a metal platform. Leary leaned against him, tired but happy. "I used to dream of flying," she said. "Not like ships, like birds. Just not being stuck." "You're flying now," Evan said. "Each step is wings." She looked up. "You didn't have to help me, you know." "I know," he said softly. "But I wanted to." "Why?" she asked. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Because once someone helped me. When I had nothing. They saved me. I never got to thank them. So now, I help who I can." Leary looked down at her legs, at the glowing blue strips on the braces. "I think I want to help people too. One day." "You will," Evan said. "You already started, with me." They smiled, but peace never lasted long in their world. Next day, Cale burst into the room holding a data pad. "Bad news." "What is it?" Evan asked. Cale turned the screen. The bounty had increased. New reward, 100,000 credits. Wanted alive. Subject, 471A. Authorized by Orden Biolabs. Leary froze. Her hands trembled. "They're serious now," Cale muttered. "They'll send hunters. Not freelancers. Professionals." Evan's face darkened. "Then we move fast." "But where?" Leary asked. Evan looked at her. "To the one place they won't expect." She tilted her head. "Where?" He smiled. "Home." Evan's ship, Second Chance, flew silently through a narrow path of dark space. No stars, no signals, no eyes. This was the path Cale had given him, a forgotten trade route once used by smugglers during the Old War. Leary sat beside Evan in the co-pilot seat, legs braced but strong, eyes focused. She wasn't the same girl he found in the dust. She was still small, still soft-spoken, but she held her head higher now. She walked with help. She smiled with truth. And deep inside, something bright had awakened. But now they were heading straight into danger. Evan was taking her back to Earth. Not to hide, but to be seen. He had made contact with an old friend, Captain Mira Wren, a former fleet officer turned media voice. She had once exposed corruption in a major system and survived. If anyone could give Leary's story to the galaxy, it was her. They landed on a secret base orbiting Earth's far side, hidden under a false mining signal. Mira stood waiting, dressed in a dark red coat, her sharp eyes scanning the ramp as Leary stepped down slowly, one step at a time. Mira didn't blink. "So, this is the child they fear." Evan nodded. "They broke her bones to keep her still. And now they offer 100,000 to cage her again." Leary stood quietly, staring up at the tall woman. Mira knelt and said gently, "And what do you want, child?" Leary took a deep breath. "I want to speak. I want them to see me." An hour later, the camera was set. Mira stood behind the screen. Evan stayed close, just out of frame. And Leary stood on her own. Her legs trembled slightly, but she didn't fall. The red light blinked. She began. "My name is Leary," she said, softly but clearly. "I was born in a place where they called me defective. They said my body was wrong, so they broke it. They said I was not alive. But I am." She paused, voice shaking. "They locked me in a cage. They cut my legs so I couldn't run. But I did. I escaped, and no one helped me. Until A man with kind eyes saw me in the dirt. He didn't turn away. He gave me water, a blanket, a second chance. Her voice grew stronger. They placed a price on my head. They called me subject, not a child, but I am not for sale. I'm not an object. I'm real. And I am standing. She took a step forward. Slow, sure, proud. Evan's throat tightened. Mira ended the recording. We broadcast it now. Everywhere. Within hours, the message spread. From spaceports to colonies, across pirate signals and civilian screens. Her voice echoed. Her small face appeared beside her words. I'm real, and I am standing. Effect was instant. Some cried, some raged, and some woke up. Back on the base, Evan checked the feed. Messages were flooding in. Doctors offering to help. Journalists asking to interview. Officials questioning the Orden biolabs. But not all messages were kind. Some were threats. One ship, marked with Orden's seal, was already en route. They weren't coming to talk. They were coming to take her back, or silence her. Evan stood beside Leary and looked at the incoming threat. We can run, he said. She shook her head. No. If we run, they win. If I hide, they say I'm weak. He stared at her, amazed. You're not the girl I found, she smiled. No, you helped me grow. When the Orden ship landed, Mira had already called witnesses, representatives from Earth's alliance, peacekeepers, and reporters. The lab's officers came out, faces cold, ready to grab. But they were not alone. Cameras rolled. Leary stepped forward, holding her ID, newly made with the seal of Earth Protection Act. This is a free world, she said. You have no power here, the officer sneered. You belong to us. Mira stepped in. She belongs to no one. Then Evan moved between them, eyes locked with the officers. Try to take her, he said. See what happens. The officer paused. They were being recorded. Any wrong move, and the galaxy would see. In silence, the officer turned and left. The war was over. At least this one. That night, as the stars lit Earth's skies, Leary stood beside Evan on the rooftop of the base. Wind in her hair. Braces glowing softly in the dark. She looked up. I'm not afraid anymore. You shouldn't be, Evan said. You faced them, and you won. She turned to him. What now? He looked at her with a smile. Now we live, we help others, like we helped each other. She nodded. Then she walked. No chair, no rails. Just two shaky legs, a brave heart, and a man who never gave up. From dust to standing tall. This was her second chance, and she wasn't letting it go.